Good morning.
Hi.
Welcome to Broadscast, Kim Goldman.
I'm glad I could be here, Jackie MacDougall.
Why? I'm glad you could be here too. Hey, you're in 2020 tonight.
Hey, yeah, look at that. Reminder. Yeah.
The funny thing is, you'll probably get maybe a couple more people to watch that than listen to the show. Maybe. I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
You've had a huge week. You have a new book out. You were in New York with the Pope.
Yeah, me and the Pope were tight.
And you were preempted a lot. So given that theme, we'll come back to you.
Oh, good.
Jared Hill is in the hizzy.
Oh my gosh. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I said hizzy. It's like 1999. And you have to make sure that you speak directly into, they always say, hug the mic, because we back up a lot and then you can't hear us.
Okay.
Turns into a different kind of show in about an hour.
So Jarrett is a podcaster, a news dude.
I think that's what my business card
A Jared of all
news dude.
Jared of all trades. And we're happy to have you. You've actually phoned in a couple times.
Yeah, I think I've been on 2 or 3 times, oftentimes about like politics and Donald
And now
Trump.
I didn't realize how freckly you were.
Yeah. I get that a lot.
I don't get that over the phone. I don't really feel
You can't
that.
hear them. They're not as loud as you think. So, yeah.
But we're happy to have you in the studio.
I'm excited to be
The
here.
energy is so much better when people are in the studio.
Yeah, of course.
So the Pope, you know, he's in town.
I hadn't heard.
You hadn't?
I was busy watching Kim on everything. I don't know.
You were watching Kim be preempted everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh
Kim's like, been waiting for this book. I'm sorry, but I'm going to go back and forth a lot. This book, which is like high profile cases, they all came to Kim and told their stories in a way no one's ever heard. And Kim keeps getting preempted by the Pope.
We got to get him
And
to
Trump.
Right. Well,
Trumped by the
One
Pope.
interview told me that if I could work Trump into my talk, that they would have me on. And so I'm like, well, maybe I should have like a little thing behind my head that I squeeze and he just pops up behind me. Or
that will work.
Yeah.
That will work.
Or say that you had an affair with him or something.
Oh, God.
Oh, yikes.
No.
So let's go back to the Pope.
Yeah.
So
This is a running theme.
what an interesting visit.
For sure.
He has more people are vocal. I grew up Catholic. I'm one of 13 kids, Irish Catholic, Massachusetts.
1 of 13?
You didn't know this?
I did not know that.
Yes. So Irish Catholic. So, I'm very familiar with the Pope. My stepmother, or my mother, since I was 4 years old, was a nun before she married my dad.
So the Pope really had
Really?
influence on her, huh?
Right.
But she left the nunnery.
She's like reformed nut,
Well,
apparently.
maybe if this Pope were here, she would have stayed. But so I'm no stranger to Catholicism. I've never seen a Pope more vocal and really getting everybody, not just Catholics, talking.
Yeah.
But in a strange way, conservatives who normally would be like using him as on their platform.
Sure.
Are actually turning against him.
Well, that's what's been interesting is he's been so beloved. Like everyone seems to have responded to him so well, and he's literally reaching out and touching the people. And then you look at conservatives and Republicans, and they are so anti everything that he has to say. And he's being a politician, and he's like, no, I'm talking about what's in the Bible. I don't know if you guys heard, but I'm kind of the Pope. Like that's a little bit of what I do is I talk about what's in the book. And like it's really fascinating to see like a party that is so, Christian focused and Bible based, and we know we're really advocating for God, but then the Pope comes and says, well, you do realize that this is what we preach, and it's kind of antithetical to what you're doing.
But do you think that it's appropriate that the Pope came and spoke to members of Congress when we're supposed to be a country that's not supposed to be operating by the voice of God and
I actually
religion?
think that's a really fair point. We are not supposed to be. We are a nation of religions. We're not a religious nation. Like we have all kinds of different religions. So it's like, are we going to have this from other like major religious figures? Heck no.
Well, I'm just wondering why it took so long, for the Pope to come. Ever. He's never appeared.
Well, he's only been the Pope for a couple of years.
You mean a Pope?
A Pope.
A
A Pope. Yeah. It's never happened before.
Yeah, they said John Boehner's been trying to get this to happen for like 20 years.
Wait, another Pope? I thought there was a visit from John Paul or something years ago.
I feel like John Paul came, but I don't know if he addressed Congress.
Yeah.
Is that what? That's what you?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I misunderstood.
Sorry.
But at the same time, if the Dalai Lama came and wanted to address Congress, like,
I don't think people would be okay with that.
really?
Well, because we have this whole
but
idea.
he's not voting or something. Like
we have this whole idea of religious freedom in America, but it's only if you're Christian. Like,
Right.
religious freedom is reserved for Christians in America. And like, as a person that doesn't identify as Christian anymore, but I still believe in God and hold some of those Christian beliefs, like, we really kind of only look at religious freedom from the perspective of being a Christian or, you know, a Catholic or Baptist or whatever that denomination is.
Right.
But like, if you're Muslim, we're not here for that. Or
Right.
if you're Hindu or if you're an
Jewish,
atheist,
yeah.
like, no.
Please, when we live in a country where people say, talk American.
Talk America. Yeah, it's like
Like it's a language.
seriously, like, yeah, that's okay, you know. So yeah, it's if.
But at the
only for
same
English
time,
speaking
Catholicism and Christianity are not, you know, the same, one and the same.
Right.
Because I always said, you know, growing up Catholic, you know, Christians would go into church and be like, I'm going to be the best version of myself and all, you know, and Catholics would be like, I'm just going to be sorry when I'm not. You know, it's like we'd be walking out of church and talking about the, you know, who's going to New Hampshire to pick up the beer because they didn't sell it in Massachusetts and, you know, for the
Really?
football game. Like, I mean, it's...
Maybe Catholicism.
I feel
is where
like
it should have been.
Catholic. Maybe that's the way to go.
Right?
No, but I mean, and you know, I'm not speaking for all Catholics. I'm just, I feel like Catholicism, in a way, is also not unlike Judaism in that there's a lot of tradition involved, and it's not just the religion and the beliefs because not everybody believes every single thing
Sure.
that is said in the church that they belong to.
Well, that's why I'm saying, but when you think about the Pope coming to Congress and all the things that he said and people were cheering and, you know, I mean, I was listening to some member of Congress say that they were going to they weren't going to stand up or sit down. They weren't going to cheer and they found themselves so moved. And I kept thinking, why? Like, now are we all going to be dictated to lead based on what the Pope said? Because there's lots of things that he said that I don't agree with, and just because he's
What
the
did he
Pope.
say that you don't agree with?
I don't support the abolishment of death penalty. I'm a pro-choicer. I have strong feelings about immigration. I mean, there are things that I believe as a Jewish person, a Democrat, whatever I want to cite myself as, that I don't necessarily think that. I don't want the Pope dictating how the Congress is going to be ruling, and I was unclear.
But do you feel like he's dictating, or he's just expressing his?
Well, I don't know, because there's people on both sides of the aisle that were like, okay, he's validated our mission.
He's like the ultimate lobbyist.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Right, but on what
God's
authority?
lobbyist.
But that's my point, that's not what our country is supposed to be ruled by. And so when he came to Congress and people were motivated by what he was saying and it's going to further their mission, I'm like, what?
But I feel like he had the opportunity to bring views together. Because I think
they walked away. They all talked. They walked away from that session, all going back to exactly what they.
Of course they did.
I mean, and then Boehner resigned. Like, how unified is that?
This is kind of what we do every time we have a joint session of Congress. Like, we always talk about how do we come together and blah 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 blah. And we haven't done that since, you know, God only knows when. No pun with God.
Pope, yeah.
But it was interesting to me a few things. Number one, everyone in Congress had been asked not to applaud and all that, not to reach out to him when he's walking down the aisle, all that kind of stuff. Don't do that while he's speaking. Let him speak and let him move.
Right.
And that obviously didn't happen. And I also, like, John Boehner sitting there crying. Like, I mean, he cries all the time.
He's like Oprah, like, no eye contact.
He's always having a moment. But like, John Boehner was obviously really emotionally moved by what happened there. And I can guess that Boehner had made the decision that he was going to resign before yesterday. But I can't imagine that sitting there with the Pope telling him things that were pretty, you know, anti to what a lot of what the Republicans do, that probably had an impact on him as well.
Right.
But, you know, we aren't a nation that's supposed to be led by religion. However, our Congress does not look anything like America. Congress is, I think, 90 or 95% white Christian men.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys heard, but America is not 95% white Christian men. You know what I mean?
Feels like it.
Well, sometimes, right. I mean, if we look at who's dominating everything, but it's Congress is that's a major problem of mine. I've been trying to write a piece for a long time called "How Do We Recall a Congress?" which constitutionally we cannot. But I mean, it's so interesting to look at Congress and the way that they don't move, how low their approval ratings are, and how much they don't represent America.
Right.
It's really troubling, actually.
Well, I'm not anti-Pope. I was watching. I was moved by the reaction to people. I was before I was leaving my hotel room in New York, there was the image of him walking down and shaking all the kids' hands and hugging, and the selfies that he was taking, and the pure joy. And these kids were saying that he loves us all, whatever your background is, whatever your religion is, that's what he's teaching us. And for me to see that, a young person recognize that that's what his message is was the most important to me. But I loved the reaction and how hip and relevant and relatable he is as a pope, that he's not polarizing. And I think from a global standpoint, I love that. But I just mixing politics and religion is always like for me.
I feel like if I grew up Catholic with this pope and these are the messages that I learned, that I would probably still be identify myself as Catholic. I just, to grow up and be like, you do this, you're going to hell. This, you're going to hell. This, I just feel like, unless I'm sorry, but it's just, I like his open.
And I love how humble he is. He doesn't take the limos. He drives the little clown Fiat.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for like 15 more popes to come out of the Fiat behind him. But just that he doesn't stay in the Pope
I
castle.
think that's a scene from Nonsense or something.
Or at least a Fiat commercial. That'd be awesome.
Seriously.
I do find it, I do find the Pope very, very interesting. And I think even whether you're, Republican, Democrat, religious or not, I think there is something appealing about a figure that's not so polarizing.
Yeah.
Because every politician, every leader is so polarizing. I mean, either Sarah Palin or Barack Obama or whoever it is, everyone is so polar opposites, and it's about coming together. And I think
his message, exactly. His message is, he's not totally doing a 180 on things that the Catholic Church believes. He's just open to discussing and open to, having dialogue and having acceptance.
Well, he's also recognizing the sign of our current state of affairs.
Right.
I mean, it's not old and antiquated like it was, way back in whatever decade, but he's recognizing where we are at and where we are at as a people. And I think that, that's something that I personally love and admire.
Well, and I also, I've been watching this Pope, so fascinated by his embracing of basically every community and thinking, how does the Catholic Church really feel about him, inside the Vatican?
Right.
But then I thought about this yesterday, and I thought, they did elect him. They chose him, you know what I mean? And he's going to be difficult for a pope to come behind him and want to be in a limo.
Well, I was thinking that too, that it's not just the pope, it was the church that opted to put him in place. So obviously they're recognizing that there needs to be some healing and some connectedness. And so while I'm not taking away any of his ability to move mountains, but the church did that.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
But I hope this opens minds to the fact that, the law and politics and all that and religion are, there should be that separation of church and state, but at the same time, you can still have your beliefs and they should be protected, not from discrimination, but if, someone doesn't think that gay marriage is okay, that's their right to believe that. However, it's not their right to then act on that and block that. And I've never said this, take abortion, for example. Can I even talk about that on the air? I don't. You know what? I grew I don't find it to be a valid source of contraception or,
A valid option.
Yeah.
Okay.
However, there are extenuating circumstances, but for me personally, in my moral compass, I just think it's wrong. However, I don't believe in fighting for people's rights where it could cause so much chaos and so many extra problems in the world.
Right,
so
but
I
it's
think
legal. So the fact that people are trying to condemn it, I get it. You're entitled to your opinion, but it's legal. Same thing with gay marriage. You can have your opinion, but it's legal.
And that's my point, is that we should still respect people's personal beliefs and that they're not going to be the same. Because, we can all sit here and say, oh, well, we're so liberal and this and that. And that person's closed-minded. They're against gay marriage and that's just their feeling or their belief. They should be able to have that belief.
Right.
They should not be able to go and block somebody like that Kim, Davis, right?
Oh gosh,
not you, Kim.
Yeah.
No, but she was not doing her job. She should be fired.
Well, that brings me to, that is a perfect transition into what I was just thinking about. So one of my favorite memes that I've seen around Kim Davis has been Kim Davis's ideology is very much so you can't have a donut because I'm on a diet, right? And so it's I believe everyone has the right to their opinion. And to
yeah, but if I'm on a diet, you really can't have a donut.
At least not in front of me, right? Yeah. But to me, it's it's one of those things where, just because you don't like gay marriage, then don't get gay married.
Right.
But don't take it away from me.
Right.
So I feel like we all have these ideas and feelings about what's right and what's wrong, but
if I'm a vegetarian, I'm not going to go work at the steakhouse and deliver you meat.
I was going to say, if I'm a vegan, like, I don't...
Or condemn you for ordering it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean,
Refuse.
you can believe whatever you want to believe, but like, you shouldn't be trying to impose your beliefs on me.
Right.
And a friend of mine always says, like, you know, your rights should go as far as they can until they begin to infringe upon someone else's. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, once my my arm kind of stretches into your bubble of what you can and can't do, that becomes a problem to me, you know, personally. As far as like abortion is concerned, I feel like it's so interesting the way that we handle abortion in this country and like women's health and all that kind of stuff. Like I remember recently seeing a panel in Congress of like talking about women's health and all that kind of stuff. And it's a panel of all men. That there's no woman in the conversation, and we're talking about what women need, what women should be doing, what women should do with their bodies. And that's always been a problem to me. And as far as abortion is concerned, I always say I'm pro-life and pro-choice. Like I don't think anyone's excited about getting an abortion, you know? Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think I should be telling you whether or not you can.
Right.
So...
Yeah. So I think our little radio station here is going to
they're like, whoa, hey
lose
guys.
their heads.
Simmer down.
But you know who's
deep. What?
Right.
But you know who's even getting involved in this like women's body and all that is Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bill Nye. How can you not do
Dora
that?
the Explorer in my head. You guys are going that one. I'm the map. Yeah. I don't know why.
No, it's
so
a fantastic
he did
thing.
tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, he has a video on Facebook right now. If you go on Facebook, it's one of the
we'll put it
videos.
on our broadscast.com.
And it'll be on
page.
broadscast.com. He's talking about, like, he says things being from a fact-based perspective. And he's like, I know that things being fact-based is actually controversial right now, which I don't understand. But he's like, you know.
I don't believe in science.
Exactly. Science is not a real thing. But, you know, abstinence-only education, it's clearly not effective because, you know, the pregnancy rates of teens is clearly, you know, it's not impacted by it. So he's talking about the way that we address contraception and all these different things. And he's like, I'm just being objective. Like, look at the numbers. Look at, you know, the facts. And the way that we're handling this in this country is not effective. And we've got to do better about it. So it's him talking about we need to stop telling women what to do with their bodies.
Well, but I also think going along with Bill Nye, in general, talking
words
about,
you never thought you'd say.
No, but we were talking about this off radio. You know, the work that I do with teens, there's so many kids that are so ill prepared to become young adults and sexually active kids, and to know how to deal with their bodies, both emotionally and physically, that to not give kids and teens or young adults or whomever, even older adults have no idea what to do with their bodies, to give them the education so they make good, healthy choices. Again, going along with abortion, we're not giving a child a condom at 10 and going, here you go,
hey,
you
go
know,
try
and
it
like
out.
leading like a bread, you know, a trail of crumbs to go knock boots. But it's like their
I'm
bodies
so,
are changing.
Like, repulsed by that.
She
Even.
just
Listen,
said knock boots.
My kid turned 12 today, right? We've been talking.
I know. Happy
I know,
birthday,
thank you, happy
Sam.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Oh,
But-
weird time to say it.
No, but,
okay, go on.
But it's reality because his body's changing. His curiosity. He notices
Yeah.
boobs. Like things are happening.
My
So
second son came out of the womb noticing boobs.
But
he was
my
like, I
point
get to
is,
eat off those?
I'm not going to teach my kid how to have sex, but I'm certainly going to have
Right.
an open dialogue with him that should he find himself in a situation where he's in love or whatever he's feeling and he's making a conscious choice, I would want him to at least be armed with some healthy decision making.
Can you
know?
imagine? I mean, he's 12 years old. Can you imagine telling him, you know, now or now-ish, like, these are some of the things that you will feel or potentially feel as you get older, you know, age appropriate as you.
We've been talking about it for years,
And
yeah.
then he starts to feel them. Imagine the feeling of acceptance
And preparedness.
and
Right.
not I mean, how many of us
Someone told me
went
this was
through
gonna come.
puberty
Yeah.
and we were like, what the what? Like,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I still haven't had the sex talk with my mother, so you know, I'm still
Well, honestly,
a little
we've talked
shaky on
about
the whole
this.
thing.
I don't remember that I ever did either, but when I decided I wanted to lose my virginity, I had an opportunity to talk to my father about it, and that's where I went before I made
Which is
the decision.
amazing.
But I don't
Way to
like
go,
again. I
Fred.
don't remember my dad ever telling me how it worked, but he created an environment where I wasn't afraid to have a discussion
Right.
about it. I ended up waiting a full year after that initial discussion because
that
I
was just me.
emotionally didn't think I was ready. But the opportunity to talk about it was what. And he didn't say, "Okay, you want to go do it. Here's how." We had open
Right.
That's
dialogue,
gross.
and he allowed me to ask questions and to be
Right.
curious about it, because
And to not
it's
feel like a freak,
it's
because when
happening
we
whether
feel-
I want it to or not, like you said, Jared, you can't pause puberty.
Yeah. Well, and I know as like a
and
young,
unfortunately, with all the food that they're eating and the hormones and stuff,
They're
it's actually
growing up a lot faster.
accelerating.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's a whole other topic, but maybe that's one of the reasons that kids are younger and younger,
Yeah, well, and I mean, as a gay man, as a teen, like there were so many questions, like obviously all the questions that kids have about sex and their bodies and what's happening, but then the element of like, I feel like something's different here, and I don't know what to do with that. And I'm hearing that it's something bad, so let me keep that to myself.
Right.
And so we don't want to talk, even just from a curriculum standpoint in education, like we don't want to talk to kids about anything that happens in their bathing suit areas, as we were saying off air, but like we want to tell them about their brain and their foot and their this and that, but like anything in the middle, no, we're not talking about that.
Right.
And then we never teach kids about relationships, how they're going to feel, how they should kind of navigate their feelings and all that kind of stuff, and what's happening in their brain and their chemical,
and how that impacts the stuff in the southern region.
Exactly, and how all those things are connected.
Yeah, well, that's a good time to go to break.
Wow.
When we come back, we still have some behind the scenes from Kim's week on
Did you hear the
Today's
Pope was
Show
here?
and
I don't know
Kris
if you heard
Jenner.
the
Oh, the
Pope.
Pope. Oh, right. There's that too. We'll be right back.